What's up, guys? Look, we're gonna take a look at the Servo Man code today. Some basic micropython code. I'm not gonna teach the class. Servo Man's gonna teach the class. Lead the way, Servo Man. Servo Man's gonna teach his own code. No, we're not. We're not there yet. I haven't installed AI yet. Maybe in a couple more iterations of Servo Man. Anyways, maybe I'll leave him right there for now. Maybe he's kind of in the picture, maybe not. So yeah, I am not an expert in any type of coding, but we're gonna talk about the code that I wrote for Servo Man. Get you out of the way now, Servo Man. Let's see. First things first, I do not recommend running the servos running off USB for very long. For a short test run, just to make sure you got your code working, maybe. And probably not any servos any bigger than this, or any servos ever. No, I'm just kidding. I think really you'll probably damage your computer because you're pulling a decent amount of current, potentially more current than a USB is meant to supply. That's the biggest thing I can think of right now. Underpowering your Raspberry Pi Pico, it might not work properly. I don't know if you'll damage anything per se, but for the most part, I would say not to power servos from your USB port. For this project, I haven't noticed any damage yet. I have ran it a little bit. I've ran a full loop of Servo Man with multiple arm servo movements. I've ran quite a few loops and my computer's still okay, but I don't want you guys to damage your computers. For Servo Man project, hopefully you got a power supply set up, and then it might be annoying to unplug from computers, save your code, connect to your power supply, and then test, but that is honestly the best, safest way to do it, just to make sure you don't damage any of your property. I don't know. Let's see. Starting with our imports, whenever you're writing MicroPython code, you're going to want to import what you need. We're going to use the machine.pin class. Is what it's called in MicroPython, and we're going to use the machine.pulse-width modulation. If you see down here, our LEDs, I'll explain more of this later on, but right now, just starting at the top, we're going to use this class, machine.pin. We're using GPIO, general purpose input-output pins, for our LEDs, and mostly just for the LEDs so far on this project. So we need to let the board, let the Pico know what we're going to be using, what we need. We're also going to be using pulse width modulation. So down here, we're using pulse width modulation on various pins on our left and right pin 16 and pin 15. So we need to also import pulse width modulation. We're also going to be using a sleep function, so we have to import time. MicroPython, I don't know. I like MicroPython. I'm focusing on learning MicroPython myself. I'm still a beginner. If I can do it, you can do it. Sometimes I should be able to write import time, and it might even work if you import time, but I've seen that it works best a little bit more reliably if I import U time. Basically, that's supposed to mean micro time. And so that's what I have here. That's all I can say. That's all I can say about that. That's how I got my code to work. I'm sure there's more efficient ways to write this and do this. And I'm learning and growing my coding skills. Definitely, hopefully this code gets you guys going. Hopefully you guys have done other beginner projects and you're a little bit familiar with MicroPython code, because I can only explain so much. But here we have, this is also a funny experiment making this video so long after I originally wrote the Servo Man code. So this is kind of funny taking a look at some of your own code after some time has passed. Like this right here, luckily I left some notes. You can leave notes in your MicroPython code that will not affect the code by putting a number sign in front of whatever your little note is. It's good to add some notation to your code. I'm sure you've heard this. I'm sure you probably already know this if you've been messing around with MicroPython at all. So here I left myself some notes that these, I don't know, how would I say, defining my LED pins here. I told myself that this is in the head. These are my eye LEDs. These are my mouth LEDs, just to keep track. For a while, I was looking at this. I was trying to understand my own code. I was like, what is ER1? What is ER2? I'm assuming I meant eyes red, LED1, eyes red, LED2. So that's fine. I'm still at this point not even sure which one's left or right. We'll figure that out soon enough. Down here for mouth, I have MG1, MG2, MG3, and if I'm assuming that what I meant with those acronyms naming my LEDs is that I have mouth green 1, mouth green 2, mouth green 3. I'm pretty sure that's what that stands for. I don't know what else that stands for. Let's see. I also turned on the LED pin 25 you see down here on board. LED equals pin 25, pin out. That is the LED on the MicroPython, that green LED on the back. I have that turned on for some reason. Serves no purpose at all. I guess maybe just to indicate that my board is powered up. Just so we got a little LED action behind the scenes of Servo Man, I guess. I set up my pulse width modulation values down here, off being full 0. What is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And there's 7-digit values over here. Our mid, being our middle value, is 150. Our min is 100, and our max is 200 over here, followed by plenty of zeros. These values, our mid, min, and max pulse width modulation values, are going to be the frequencies for how the arms move. So max would be the arm moving the highest up, mid would be, you know, the arm like in the middle position, and min being the arm all the way down. Because I have servos, one on each side, so for one of the servos, the values are going to be backwards, basically, because they're pointing opposite direction. They're kind of mirrored. So for one of them, max will be max, and for the other max will be minimum. They'll be opposite. So that's something you kind of got to experiment with. That's something you got to experiment with to kind of figure out, depending what side is left and right, which one is flipped around. But once you run the code a couple times, you'll be able to figure it out. Pulse width modulation for the buzz. I wasn't even sure if I was just sending an on-off signal or if that was the buzzer was running off pulse width modulation. But I guess it is. Let's see, pin pulse width modulation and pulse width modulation 2. I'm assuming, yes, these are the arms. I can put right here, servo arm, and I can put down here, servo arm. This is my buzz frequency at 550 hertz, so that is definitely the buzzer. And then we get right down here, while true, we get into our loop. You guys can copy and paste the code if you just want to get your Servo Man up and running. It's going to be on my Kofi. I might even just have it in my description so you guys can copy and paste it right from the YouTube description below. But if you guys want to learn the code, I'll do my best here to kind of break down what's happening. While true, make sure that T is capital. I don't know why. Make sure the W is lowercase. Python, micropython, just like Python, is, case sensitive. You got to make sure you have correct punctuation and spacing. Make sure you're indented after the while true. So I have eyes red LED number 1 set to 0, and then I'm letting it sleep, and then I'm calling eyes red LED 2 set to 0, and I'm letting the microcontroller sleep, and then I'm changing the value. I'm blinking. I believe this is ER2 is the right eye. ER2 equals right eye LED, because I ran servo through a few loops, Servo Man, and that's the one that blinks. When the eye blinks, that's kind of how I know we've gone through a full loop. That's kind of the indicator to me. It's one of the most obvious things. You have to have some time of sleep. The first sleep command I'm running here, I have at 0.5. And I think I was experimenting for what was the shortest amount of time I could go, and I started putting 0.2. If you don't run a sleep function, if I had just ER2 value 0, ER2 dot value parentheses 1, you wouldn't notice if the LED turned off or on, basically. I know a super early beginner Raspberry Pi Pico project from the book I referenced in episode 2. They kind of explain that, like, basically the microcontroller is capable of switching pins on and off so many thousands of times per second that your human eyeball would not be able to perceive if the LED turned off or on or not. So you have to let it sleep, otherwise it won't even work. You won't even notice if the LED turned off or on or not. So that's why we're running sleep commands, sleep functions, whatever you want to call it, in between every change of LED value. So that's what we got going on for the eyes right here. We have a quick little eye function. Every time the loop starts, basically, the beginning of the loop is the right eye blinking. And then we go to a mouth sequence. I'm setting both inner left and right corner of the mouth LEDs, MG1 and MG2 to 0. I'm sleeping. I'm sleeping here for a full second. And then what's going on here? MG3 is also set to 0. I'm sleeping for a full second. I'm thinking this is actually turning the LEDs on. Let's stop and run Servo Man real quick. So the eye blinks and then all the LEDs turn on. And then we go down here into the buzzing talking sequence. And we do the double blink. I don't know, hopefully you guys can see Servo Man and me at the same time. Let's see, we'll stop Servo Man again. I don't want to. Oh man, let's run it and then stop it when it's not making noise. Let's see here. So again here, I can't even tell you right now. I'd have to run the code and look at it more. But because these LEDs are turning on with a pull down value, 0 might actually be on, and turning them pull up, the pin value for the individual LEDs will actually be turning them off. So these could be backwards, I believe, actually. MG1.value parentheses 0 is probably LED on, and MG1.value parentheses 1 should actually be off. I'm assuming. It's been a while since I wrote this code. I'm not sure if I hammered out all the details or not, all of the what the values actually even mean. I just got Servo Man working and I kind of shelved the project for a little while until I started making videos on this guy again. Let's see, let's keep going down here. We have our buzzer duty is set to nanoseconds, and right here, for the first time you'll see I'm calling minimum. I'm calling that minimum pulse width modulation value. That 1 million, 10 million basically, and I'm sleeping for 0.5, and then I have off, and then I'm blinking. I'm turning off that mouth center LED. Yeah, so I'm pretty sure MG3.value parentheses 1 is off. Value 1 equals off, and value 0 equals LED on, right? Because a pull down, giving that LED a ground, is what's going to complete the circuit and turn that LED on. Hopefully you guys understand that. Let's see, continuing on here. So buzz duty in nanoseconds, value off, and that was our, let's go back up. That was all zeros, I believe. And I added that off. I'm not using this pulse width modulation value off for anything other than the buzzer. The servos are using mid, min, and max values only. I don't have a use for all 0. So that's just creating a tone and turning off a tone. And the only tone I'm using on my buzzer, seemed like I have an experiment with different tones. I'm only using the minimum pulse width modulation value, So we can experiment with different sounds, different Servo Man beeping sounds, by giving a max value. We'll see what that sounds like later, actually. let's see, let's go down here. Quick run through, and then we'll experiment with changing some values and figuring some more things out. LED toggle, I have this written right here. I'm kind of assuming that that would turn on and off both of my LEDs. Or actually, that should toggle the LED on the back of the board. Yes, look, because even right now where I paused it, that board LED is now off, and we still have an eye LED on. So I paused the loop in Thonny right now, Thonny editor, by the way, right with the board LED toggled off. I don't think I have another LED.toggle in this entire loop. So once every loop, it should turn off or on. The LED should toggle back and forth. Let's go ahead and run that and see what happens actually. So yeah, the LED's off. Or you see the arms moving. Oh, the LED's on. As soon as it goes back to the eyes blinking. Okay, the eye's blinking, so this is a new loop. After it talks, the LED should go off. Yes, it did. Okay. And then it's going to complete. Eyes are blinking again. It's moving both. Right when we do that, let right eye blink. Right eye's blinking. After the talking, it should turn back on now. And it did. Okay, so that works right. So experimentation like this is kind of how you figure out what works, what doesn't, and what's going on with your code. I was almost not sure if this was going to have a visible result because I don't have a sleep command before or after it, but because I'm not toggling back and forth. I'm literally just toggling once and then running the rest of the code. So the light is either on or off for the rest of the loop until it gets back to this command, and then it'll turn it on or off again. So that's an interesting little random one line of code 87 that I put in there. Let's see, and then we go into, after the talking, the right eye blinks, and then we do the talking sequence with the mouth and the buzzer. And then we go into the first arm servo sequence, which I named this arm servo sequence 00. And I'm having, for the first servo, which doesn't really have a name, it's just pulse width modulation, set to minimum, and the other side set to max. So this would be the reversed arm. Both of the arms are going to be probably in the down position. Yeah, because remember, so for, let's see what side is this? Pulse width modulation is left arm. Okay, so I left myself a note down here. Pulse width modulation is left arm, and reverse min is max. Min is max forward. I don't know what I meant there. Print servo sequence 1. I think I was leaving myself messages here, messages printing down here in the shell for me to help me figure out which one. But let's see. So I have here pulse width modulation is my left arm. So that would be this arm. And reversed, min is max. Okay. So for mid should be the same. Mid should be middle for both. But for the left arm, min is my max. So over here, when we have pulse width modulation 2 and pulse width modulation, what we really have is both arms up. In the beginning of this sequence, both arms should go up. And then we sleep, both arms go to middle, and then we sleep, and then both arms go down, and then we sleep. And then we come over here and both arms reset to the middle, and then we sleep. So line by line, really coding is just instruction. You're telling your microcontroller what to do, what values to send to these individual pins to control your Servo Man. Let's see, I'm printing more messages. We're sleeping in between movements. And then right here, I'm having double blink. This is when both eyes blink. I'm having ER1 toggle, ER2 toggle, sleep. So instead of writing individually ER1 dot value and changing the value from 1 to 0 in between sleep periods, I'm toggling. So whatever the LED is at, we're either going to turn it on or off. We're just flipping the switch and we're not thinking about the value. So toggle, sleep, toggle, sleep. And so that's my double blink function. And then I go, after the double blink, we go into another arm function. This is, I can tell here because the values are the same in between sleep functions, that this is when I do the running sequence. One arm goes up, one arm goes back, and it changes. So yeah, I can put here Servo Man running arms. Servo Man sprinting. That's what we're animating right there. He doesn't have movable legs yet. He just has stationary legs. I'm thinking of ideas. I don't know if I want to put him on wheels, you know, kind of a robot body rolling around on wheels would be very easy. Or on tracks, put him like on some tank tracks. That would be very cool to see soon. Excuse me. And eventually I want to go full biped, full walking, two-legged robot is definitely, I don't know how far down. Maybe that'll be full-on version 2. I have some ideas in my head of what I want to do with the Servo Man next. Right now I'm working with what I got. I definitely want to get some more parts, some more servos, some more components, and keep building this guy. I'm already thinking of 3D printing some arms. Whenever I do, right now, he's great. I love his cardboard face, and his cardboard arms are really cool too. But I was thinking today of 3D printing him some arms, possibly. Whenever I do that, I will definitely post them on my Colds for free for anybody that wants to print them. I was thinking also for anybody who doesn't have a 3D printer, if you can't 3D print Servo Man legs, work with what you got. Super glue him to a little cardboard box, or maybe build him some cardboard legs. I don't know. I really want to see people building their own Servo Man with arts and craft products that they have at home. And I want to see different variations of Servo Man. You could potentially take this same code, even you don't even have to write a different code, and you could build a servo creature. It doesn't even have to be a robot. You could easily draw and cut out a cardboard cat and attach one of the servos to the tail and one of the servos to the arm, and you could have the cat wagging, the robot servo cat wagging its tail, and maybe licking its paw or something by just rearranging these pieces. Um, so hopefully you guys do cool stuff at home, and hopefully you reply. You guys can find my Discord on my Kofi, and also right here in the comments. If you guys make your own little short video, show me what you guys make. Let's see. Let's keep going on here. I think that's pretty much the end of the Servo Man code that I have written. This is very simple LED on and off commands, basically written two different ways using the toggle function and setting individual values, and then also some pulse width modulation commands. That's all I got going on right now. I told you he was simple. So again, this whole code will be posted up, and I don't know what else to say. Some things I'm thinking of next. This is going to be episode 3 right here, talking about this code. And I think I'm going to call it season 2 of Servo Man. I think I want to add a wired controller. That's what I'm thinking of. I might be able to pull that off with components that I already have without having to buy more parts. I started thinking about it today when I was thinking about making this video. I was thinking about what I'm going to do with Servo Man next. We got over 10 easily accessible GPIO pins on the left side. We are using a lot of space at the, pretty much pin 11 all the way to pin 20 on the left side. We have a lot of empty GPIO space on the right side, basically 6 all the way down to pin 17. So we have a lot of empty space. I want to add some motion sensors. I think is definitely going to be coming up soon, so that like if you pass in front of Servo Man, or maybe if you wave at him, I'll probably mount the the motion sensor over here somewhere, and then you could like wave at Servo Man and that will activate a function. So those are some simple additions to just continue programming. That's really the whole point of the Servo Man project, is to just give yourself an excuse to code as often as you can. See what you can do next. See what you can add. I definitely want to make it more interactive. It'll probably be a while until I get him walking or driving around the house. But that's definitely down the line. That's in the works too. I'm thinking about it. So yeah, I'll let you guys continue building your project. Thanks for watching. And I'm going to go continue brainstorming and seeing what I want to add next. Whatever I do next, I will post it and let you guys know. And thanks for following.